Okay, so get this. Have you ever heard of a hornet, like the size of your thumb? We're going deep today
Wow.
into this whole world
Okay.
of the Asian giant hornet
Yeah.
using these excerpts that you sent over.
Right.
It's pretty amazing, this creature.
It is.
It's fascinating and kind of scary.
Yeah.
And we're going to try to unpack why everyone's making such a fuss about it, especially outside of its, like, natural habitat.
Yeah, you're definitely not kidding about the size. I mean,
Yeah.
these things can grow up to 2 inches long
What?
with a 3-inch wingspan.
Oh, my gosh.
And they look pretty crazy, too. They've got this
Brutal.
bright orange head, big black eyes, and then this black and orange striped body.
Wow. It's like something
They definitely stand out.
out of a movie.
Yeah.
You mentioned their native home,
Yeah.
which is,
It's mostly in the forests.
Yeah.
Like temperate and tropical forests
Right.
of East and Southeast Asia.
right, but now they're showing up in other places.
Yeah, they're showing up in like North America.
Yeah.
And that's got people kind of worried.
Yeah, what is so concerning about them being outside of their usual, spots?
Well, like every species has a role to play in
Yeah.
its own ecosystem. And
Yeah.
so like when you just drop a new player in there,
It's going to mess things up.
it can really disrupt the balance. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Asian giant hornet is what we call an apex predator. So that means it's at the very top of the food chain.
Like the top dog.
Pretty much, yeah. And there's nothing
Like-
really,
Let me keep it in check.
yeah, there's nothing to keep it in check.
Oh, wow. So it's like, imagine a team, right, with their star player,
Right.
and they just dominate at home, right?
Yeah.
But then suddenly they're like, in this new league,
Yeah.
and no one knows how to, like, handle them.
Right. And they're just running wild,
They're just
scoring at will.
That's what we're dealing with.
That's a great analogy.
with
Yeah.
this hornet. Right.
That's a great analogy.
Okay, so
And to really understand, I think, how much they could mess things up,
yeah.
we need to look at how they actually operate, right?
Okay.
So they live in these colonies
Okay.
that are led by a queen, like bees and ants and stuff.
Okay.
And they eat all kinds of things,
Like what?
like tree sap, fruit, other insects.
They're not picky.
Not picky at all,
Okay.
but there's one thing that really sets them apart, and that's how they hunt honeybees.
See, this is the part that I find just
Yeah.
like so interesting and so scary.
I know.
They earned that nickname, right? The murder hornet.
They did, for a reason.
And it's not an exaggeration.
Really?
I mean, just a few of these hornets, like you could literally count them on one hand,
Yeah.
can totally wipe out a whole honeybee hive
No way.
in a matter of hours.
What?
Like, it's insane. They go into this, like, what we call a slaughter phase.
Slaughter phase.
Yeah, it sounds brutal, but that's literally what it is.
Oh, my
They
goodness.
just go through and decapitate all the bees.
And then carry their bodies back to the nest to feed their young. It's
Wow.
crazy efficient.
Yeah.
They can get a ton of protein that way really quickly.
So it's like a super strategic
Oh, yeah.
hunting method.
Yeah, they're like little tiny ninjas.
But I can see why the beekeepers
Oh, yeah.
are freaking out.
They have every right to be. Honeybees are like
Super important.
so I mean, they pollinate a huge portion of the food that we eat.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine, right? If these hornets start spreading,
It's going to mess things up.
it could really mess things up, especially in places where bee populations are already declining. It's like a domino effect,
Right?
It hits the bees and then it ripples through the whole food web.
Wow, it's like this chain reaction.
Yeah, and it could end up impacting agriculture, ecosystems, and even, what we eat.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's like we think about, these tiny little creatures,
Right.
but it's all connected, right?
It really is. Everything's connected.
All right, so speaking of impacts, let's talk about the sting.
Okay.
Because I know a lot of people are like super curious
Oh, yeah.
and maybe a little freaked out
Yeah.
about how dangerous it is.
Right.
And some researchers, they say that maybe the media is kind of exaggerating the whole murder hornet thing.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I mean, it's definitely a valid concern, and it's important to address it, I think.
Yeah.
The sting is no joke, okay?
Yeah.
Like, their venom, it attacks your tissue, your nerves.
Oh, wow.
It can cause some really serious allergic reactions, and unlike bees, they can sting you multiple times
What? Really?
without losing their stinger.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah, it's definitely dangerous, but it's not like,
Everyone's dropping dead.
Yeah, fatalities do happen, but they're pretty rare. It's usually when, like, people disturb a nest or they have a really bad allergic reaction.
Okay, so it's not like,
Yeah.
a horror movie.
Not quite, no.
But it's definitely something to, like,
Yeah.
be cautious of.
You got to respect them,
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing how one little creature
I know.
can make people so scared
It's fascinating.
and fascinated at the same time.
Yeah, and I think it shows how complicated this whole thing is.
Right.
Like a species can actually be helpful and harmful.
Yeah, at the same time.
Depending on where it is, you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's not so simple to just say, oh, this is a good guy and this is a bad guy.
It's not black and white.
Exactly. It's way more nuanced than that.
So in, like, their home territory?
Yeah, so in their native ecosystems,
Yeah.
they actually help keep other insect populations under control.
Oh, wow.
Which is a good thing, right?
Right.
It's only when they get into a new environment where they don't have any natural predators that they become a problem.
Yeah, because they just take over.
Exactly. They run wild.
So what are people doing about it?
Well, there's a lot of effort going on right now. First of all, you got to make people aware, right?
Yeah.
So there are these public awareness campaigns to help people identify the hornets.
Okay.
So they know what to look for and how to report sightings.
That's what you said.
And then there are programs to remove nests.
Oh, wow.
And researchers are working on new ways to trap them.
Okay, so they're like coming up with strategies.
Exactly. And beekeepers are even getting creative.
Really?
Yeah, they're making like these reinforced hive entrances.
Oh, wow.
And special traps to protect the bees. So
everyone's kind of pitching in.
yeah, it's a big team effort.
Wow. So it sounds like a full-on battle plan.
Yeah, pretty much.
What are the biggest challenges?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is just finding them early.
Okay.
Because these hornets, they're like masters of disguise,
Really?
Yeah, they're good at hiding, and their nests can be really hard to find.
Oh, wow.
And then another challenge is just the sheer size of the areas they could potentially spread to.
Right.
It's like finding a needle in a haystack.
So you need a lot of people working together.
Exactly. You need a lot of coordination and resources to really make a dent.
And then there's that, like, moral dilemma, right?
Yeah.
Because they're a threat
Right.
in some places,
Right.
but they're also important back home.
Exactly. You can't forget that. It's a delicate balance,
Yeah.
Trying to protect one ecosystem without accidentally messing up another one.
It's a tough one.
It's a really complex problem. There's no easy answer.
So, I mean, what does all this mean, for the average person?
Well, I think the Asian Giant Hornet is a really good example of how even something tiny can have a huge impact. It shows us how connected everything is,
Right.
And the challenges we face in a world where species are constantly on the move because of, globalization and climate change and stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot to think about.
It is, but one thing's for sure, we need to understand these creatures and how they fit into the big picture if we want to find solutions that protect both the environment and ourselves.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point to end on. So thank you so much for, taking the time to explain all of this.
Oh, of course. It was my pleasure.
It was really fascinating. And to all of you listening out there, I mean, what do you think? Do you think we can find a way to, live in harmony with these creatures, or is it just going to be a constant battle?
Yeah.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you.
All right, until next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.